Okay, it's 11 p.m. here and I can't even sleep because there's just so much excitement over the Flourish Conference coming up and just everything that God's doing. And so, when I first found 5F Church in May of 2022, like I was in a place of such hunger for God and wanting more of God. And I had I had been introduced to the deliverance ministry and prophetic ministry is what it was called previous to finding 5F Church. And then when I found 5F Church, and I just saw the mighty miracles of God and the large scale amount of people being freed and healed. It literally was the most precious, amazing thing in this world. And, I know some of you know, and some of you don't, but I worked in the mental health field for 7.5 years. 7.5 years I saw people dealing with such torment and trouble in their minds. And so working in that field, the reason I had worked in that field is because I saw so much of that type of stuff affect family members and stuff like that. And I had such a heart to see people not deal with such painful experiences and different traumas and stuff like that. And so I actually remember being in the mental health field and thinking okay, telling people we need to get to the root, not knowing the spiritual problems at the time, but saying we need to get to the root of what's going on, because a lot of this can't change or things won't get better unless we get to the root of it. We got it, people who are experiencing PTSD or trauma, and they're having triggers to different situations and stuff like that. I would say we'd have to get to the root of it so we can uproot that root, and then you can find on the other side of that, you can find the happiness or you can find the joy or whatever you're seeking. And time again, I saw people still stuck in these areas, and I saw this terminology be placed. So fast forward when I came to 5F Church and I saw God working in such mighty power, large scale levels. I remember actually being in the mental health field one day and being if I see people see free of schizophrenia, I'm going to know schizophrenia is a spiritual thing. And sure enough, there was one Sunday, I remember this Sunday, there was one Sunday when the church was at Mission Road where multiple people came that day with schizophrenia, and God set them all free, powerfully. And so when I started seeing people come, when you work in that field for so long and you want to see people you want to help them or you want to see change, and then you're helpless to help them. And then you find the anointing of God where it's easy and they're getting free. It's you can't keep quiet about it. You can't not share with people oh, you're having a suicidal thought because of some depression. Here's a pill that's not going to work, where here's a church, but now it's bring them to the church. Those suicidal thoughts that have been bombarding you, for so long, for so many years, can be gone in a second. Or depression, where people are, even there was one time in my life when I was younger where I was diagnosed, where I had thoughts of if I went to bed and didn't wake up, that was fine. I was fine with it, completely fine with it. And so I sought out care from the medical field, and I remember the doctor calling me on their personal time one weekend to check if I was okay, you know what I mean? And so to see people deal with all this stuff and not have answers, and then to see the anointing work in a church where you bring them to the church and with ease they're set free and their lives are transformed, how it is the most beautiful, incredible, blessed place to be in the entire world, And I just want everybody to know, I wish everybody would know, these conferences, these events, the church, it's so important to go, So I share so much about 5F Church. I share so much about my spiritual mom, Apostle Catherine Crick, and this anointing, but it's because it literally has changed my life, and I see it changing people's lives all the time. It is literally the greatest gift that I've ever seen on this earth right now. It is the greatest gift to people where they don't have to deal with anything, all these different struggles and strongholds and mind battles and feelings of self-worth and different illnesses and stuff like that. God's healing and freeing people. Now is his time that he's doing it, and he's doing it through his church at 5F Church. And right now he's moving so powerfully at these Flourish conferences. And I was touched so powerfully at the very first Flourish conference, and each conference, it's so special in its own way. And so I want everybody to go and everybody to know what Jesus is doing and how he's moving through his anointing through the church, and how you don't have to deal with these things anymore.